Good morning and welcome to FANBOI. I'm your host, Caleb Rain, and today I'm ranking Brockhampton's albums from the worst to the best. This list is just in my opinion and just reflects my personal taste. So if you have a different ranking or a different opinion on any of these albums, just leave a comment down below. Now jumping into the ranking, I decided to exclude All American Trash because it's not technically an album, it's actually a mixtape. So it doesn't even belong anywhere on this list. So kicking off the official list at number 5 is Saturation 1. Saturation is Brockhampton's first installment of their Saturation trilogy. Honestly, a really solid debut album from the boy band. This album moves a lot slower and has a lot less highlights and memorable moments than compared to any of the group's later work, which is expected, of course, first album, but I think it's a really solid first album. Nothing too groundbreaking, but they did come out with a more original, unique sound on the first Saturation tape. With everything being said, my favorite tracks are Gold, Cash, Bump, and Waste. Overall, I'd give this album a good 7 out of 10. Really good for like a bottom ranking album, I guess. Yeah. Saturation 1, solid first album, solid way to kick off the list. And coming in at number 4 is Ginger. Ginger is Brockhampton's most recent studio album. A lot more poppier and it's a lot more polished, really crisp sounding, which I like. It's really crisp. But I feel like Brockhampton played it a bit too safe on this album. A lot less experimentation. Actually, like way more less experimentation than anything on the Saturation series, or especially Iridescence, and that says a lot. This album is really safe, really poppy compared to some of their older work, which is fine because I feel like it's a good move on Brockhampton to break more into the mainstream. And Sugar also did really well, if I'm just gonna mention that. So it's a lot less exciting, but I do enjoy the more polished, professional sound that this album delivers. That's why it's slightly above Saturation 1 on the list. My favorite tracks off this album are No Halo, Ginger, Big Boy, Boy Bye, and St. Percy. Overall, it's a solid album, didn't completely disappoint me. That's why I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. Next up on the list is Saturation 2. Saturation 2 is the first Brockhampton album I actually listened to, and it's actually the album that got me into their music in the first place. I think Saturation 2 epitomizes Brockhampton's earlier sound and the Saturation series as a whole. That's why I would play this album for any new Brockhampton fans or anyone just listening to Brockhampton for the first time. So my favorite tracks off of Saturation 2 are Gummy, Teeth, Junkie, Gamba, and Summer. Now coming in at number 2 is Iridescence. This is Brockhampton's most sonically impressive, most instrumental album to date. The opening track does a really good job introducing the really grittier vibe to the album, really loud, really experimental. I love Kevin's bridge on San Marcos and that barefaced chorus, of course. I love the ongoing like repetitive kick drum and build up on the song Fabric. Love the song Jover. I love Joba's verse on Jover. I love Merlin's verse on Jover. Merlin sounds really good in this whole album. I think out of any Brockhampton project, this was Merlin's time to shine. This was Merlin's album. The best tracks on here are, of course, Jover, New Orleans, Wait, San Marcos, District, and the closing track, Fabric. At the end, I think this album is really good, and I'll give it a 8.5 out of 10. So coming in at number 1 is Saturation 3. This is Brockhampton's most cohesive album. This album also has the best chemistry between all of the members. Overall, this album is just really good. If I had to pick my favorite tracks, it's gonna have to be Sister/Nation, Boogie, Rental, Johnny, Zipper, and Bleach. Overall, obviously Brockhampton's best album, and I think I'm feeling a 9.5 to a 10 out of 10 on this album. Maybe a perfect 10. Might have to give it a couple more years, see how it ages, but for now, really good album. Leave this video a like, share, comment, and subscribe to FANBOI for daily content every weekday morning. I'll be making more lists and reviews every day, so stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.